All right, big game on the weekend, live on talkSPORT, this one as well. Liverpool versus Newcastle United. This shocks me, reading this stat. Liverpool are unbeaten in their last 18 Premier League games against Newcastle, 113, and have drawn 5. The last time they suffered a loss to Newcastle was a 2-0 away defeat 11 years ago, December 2015. Doesn't that surprise you a bit?
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah,
I always feel like Liverpool have struggled at St James's Park, but they're clearly not.
No. I think it's a game, isn't it? That you just immediately think of those thrillers.
Yeah.
Like if you're of a certain age, you just immediately imagine Kevin Keegan slumped over the hoardings of Stan Collymore. Yeah. That's what you think of.
Yeah, big games.
Yeah. It's the kind of game where you think this is going to be a belter, and it can be. I mean, it was earlier this season. But it isn't always.
Yeah, it lacks a bit of spice now, obviously, with Alexander Isak out.
Yeah.
Can you only imagine if Isak was playing?
Although I think there is certainly an edge between the fans.
Oh, yeah. The fans now. There's almost... I always thought it was a fan base that sang from the same hymn sheet for years.
Yeah.
Now there's a genuine dislike, I think, between the fans.
I agree. I think if you think about like the makeup of the country, in the Venn diagram of Scousers and Geordies, there would be a grey area where
100%.
they meet. There's a similarity in the way they approach the world. Alexander Isak might have just blown them polar.
yeah, completely has. Arne Slot seems to have started to go on a bit of a rampage in his press conferences recently. I don't know. This is what he had to say. Listen to this. After beating Qarabağ 6-0 in the Champions League, good performance on Liverpool. This is what he had to say about qualification and tried to add a bit of context to some of his press conferences of recent.
You want to finish top 8 because that helps, of course, because you skip around and sometimes you can have a really hard team to play against in a round like that, which is shown by the teams you just mentioned. So we're happy that we are going straight away to the last 16, especially because it's only 2 years ago that we were playing Europa League and we went out in the quarterfinals against Atalanta. So 2 seasons in a row now, being at the last 16, and this season, as we were last season, we were very hungry for more. We will definitely be hungry for more this season as well.
What's he doing?
What? That's not the conduct of a Liverpool manager. Like being a Liverpool manager, being a manager of a top team, forget Liverpool, being a manager of a top team, part of your role is to be a public face of the club. Part of your role is to be the statesman at the club. You cannot speak like that. The job is too big for you if that's how you see the world. This
is what Ruben Amorim was doing early at United. And I was like, what's Amorim doing? And Amorim continued to do it throughout his tenure. And I tweeted this the other day. I was like, Slot's not... He's not on that slippery slope that Amorim was, but he's very much sort of wanting to position himself as that. It's almost like he's been told he's getting the tic-tac and he decided, I'm going to go out swinging then.
Addy, do you know what? I was arguing a lot of the time that Thomas Frank was going to be okay for Tottenham. And then Tottenham got absolutely battered by Paris Saint-Germain. And I heard Thomas Frank's interview after the game. And they conceded 5 goals that day. And I heard him and he was talking like they scored 5. And I was like, oh my God, this is just not the manager of a top club. Yeah. You do not approach a defeat where you can see 5 goals and try and position it as something positive. Arne Slot is obviously a good enough manager to manage Liverpool. He's managed Liverpool to a title. But the conduct of late, constantly talking about a low block, talking about other teams, the way they're playing, and they're being defensive against his team. What's he supposed to do? You're like, that's your job, mate. Yeah. Your job is to work out how to get past this low block.
I didn't even like... and I know you kind of understood the context around it, or at least what he was saying was fact. But I didn't even like what he said a couple of weeks ago. I think he was speaking to TNT and he said something along the lines of Liverpool have only won 2 Premier Leagues in 30 years.
I know.
I was like, ain't that what a rival says? Like, how are you Liverpool manager and saying that?
I'm a little bit more sympathetic to him in this.
I'm not.
Look, your word on this, you're the Liverpool fan, so I do concede that your word on this is more valid. But what I would argue there, I think the positioning of the question was quite hostile.
Okay.
And all he was doing was saying, hang on a minute, this is weird for people to be suggesting that I'm not the man for the job when I am the victor. I am the one that's won a league title for a team that hasn't won. He's pointing it out rather than celebrating it. He wasn't using it as a way to beat Liverpool. He was just explaining to the interviewer that perhaps the phrasing of the question was a little bit off.
I do wonder if, and look, I think some of the questions that he's been asked have been almost bordering on disgusting by some, so-called journalists in these scrums, especially the Xavi Alonso questions at him, which I thought were ridiculous. Yeah. So I wonder if he decided just to come out firing. Like, if you're asking me these questions, I'm going to come out and be a bit sort of rude and a bit harsh with my answers as well because of those
Which
questions.
is fine, by the way. That's how you should be. You know, if you want to be a Liverpool manager, if you're going to conduct
yourself... Be bullish.
Yeah, listen, there's no doubt. It was just slightly before my time, but There's no doubt in my mind that Bill Shankly would have had his shoulders back and rubbed people up the wrong way and been on the front foot.
Remember Sir Alex Ferguson didn't do any BBC interviews? Remember that?
For well over a decade.
Yeah, because if you're asking me questions I don't like, I'm not speaking to you.
There's nothing wrong with building a club in your image and having this prickly exterior. But you kind of need the results to back it up as well. You do need the results. And at the moment, Arne Slot's side, I know you mentioned the unbeaten run, but it has to be the most uninspiring unbeaten run in the history of football.
That's why I was happy when it ended on the weekend just gone. Considering he has been a bit prickly, considering the pressure that's on Arne Slot, considering that Newcastle haven't beaten Liverpool for over a decade, how much pressure just to get a result? And remember, there's no excuse now, because I always feel like when Liverpool have these European games midweek, there's almost an inbuilt excuse that players are tired players. Well, Newcastle just played as well. So it's two teams that are a bit jaded. Like, he has to get 3 points at Anfield.
Yes, he does. He has to get 3 points.
Wait. Can he get sacked this season? There seems to be a debate here where something like it's almost written that Xabi Alonso takes over, and there's some, I think James Pearce is obviously Mr. Liverpool, who seem to suggest that the club are backing him and he's fine until the summer.
Can I just ask you a question to answer your question, right? Do you not extend a courtesy to a manager that's won you a league that goes slightly longer than the 6 months off the back of winning the league? 6 months ago, he lifted a league title. He was the champion. He's still the champion. And now we're talking about him being sacked. So is it not just wild?
You know what it is with him? It's almost as though, look, Jurgen Klopp, by the way, has had these sort of runs. But you always felt like Jurgen could get over it. You always felt like, okay, Jurgen's going to get over this. Sometimes you look at Slot and you think, you're not getting over this, are you? Like, I remember when we played Arsenal at the Emirates, and I thought, okay, we've turned the corner here. We were better than Arsenal. Good performance. I was like, okay,
with injuries as well.
And then all of a sudden, the next game, like,
look, I think the question needs to be, can he turn it around? Can he be the man to guide you to another title?
I don't think he can guide us to another title. I do think he can guide us to another trophy.
There's probably no point.
That's the thing.
Now, though, is there? Did he get to the ambition this season? Is fairly minimal.
I don't think he can make top four.
I don't
think he can.
It's also top 5 this season.
I think that's a problem.
It's tricky, but I think you can do it.
All of a sudden, Man United have started to get results.
Yeah.
I know you might have your issues with Liam Rossini. He's getting results.
No, but Manchester United...
He's getting results.
Manchester United, they only have one thing to play for. They should make it. But let's not totally rewrite Manchester United. They're in the midst of a new manager bounce. I think they'll make it. Yeah, but there's no guarantee.
There's a new manager bounce beating Brentford and beating Fulham. There's another thing if you're beating Man City and Arsenal away.
No, the new manager bounce means irrespective of opposition. That's what the new manager bounce is. You just bounce regardless. I think Manchester United will make it, and I think Carrick's doing a good job. And I already think Carrick's a better manager than Amorim, who was a complete charlatan and fraud. But there's no way that we can just go, well, Man United are going to make it. There's jeopardy around them doing it. There's jeopardy around you doing it.
Yeah, but this is the problem. The fact that there's even jeopardy around the champions who then spent $500 million in the summer making top four is crazy.
You say $500 million, but 125 million of that went on Alexander Isak, who's broken his leg.
And 110 million also went on Florian Wirtz,
who's taken his time to find his feet in the Premier League, but it's looking a bit better. Look, ultimately, Addy, it's rare for me to bring an element of calmness and nuance to a situation. It's not really the way I approach life. But the geezer won the league. I will always give an element of courtesy and time to someone who's won a league. When Chelsea sacked Roberto Di Matteo off the back of
what were your expectations?
Cup, I thought it was a disgrace.
What were your expectations of Liverpool this season?
I thought you'd retain a league title.
And probably more. With what we had and then what we bought. So I know what you're saying, but we're so far away from what the expectations were at the start of the season. It's crazy how far away we are.
It is, but there are...
You haven't beaten the promoted teams this season.
No, I know. You've 3 draws. 3 draws at Anfield. Yeah. You haven't beaten them at Anfield.
No.
I know. 3 draws against the newly promoted sides at Anfield. That, in a way, is sackable. but look, when Chelsea sacked... When Chelsea were champions, we played Rosenborg, we got a bad result, we sacked Mourinho. I thought that was a disgrace. He'd won 2 league titles in a row. When Chelsea won the European Cup and the FA Cup, sacked Roberto Di Matteo in November, I thought that was a disgrace. We'd won the European Cup. I'm going to apply the same logic to your club as I would my own. He won a Premier League title. For that, I think you almost get a grace of the next season, as long as...
He's getting the grace. He's getting the grace because we're midway through and he's still there and he probably will be there until the end of the season. All right.